Third stanza. Where are the songs of spring? Ay, where are they? Think not of them, thou hast thy music too. While barred clouds bloom the soft dying day, and touch the stubble plains with rosy hue. The third stanza, like the second one, it starts with a rhetoric question, and in which we find Keats in a melancholic tone, because autumn does not have the songs or music like that of spring. But immediately Keats becomes confident that though autumn does not have songs or music like that of spring, but it has its own music. So it tells autumn not to bother about the music, though it is not like your musics are not like that of spring. So in this stanza, we'll have a description of different kinds of musics or songs that autumn presents. But before that, Keats gives us a description of the atmosphere of the environment in which we find these songs. So he says that it is the time of the evening, soft dying day. The day is dying, the sun rays are not visible. But we know that at twilight, sun rays are not visible, but there is a color in the sky, and the clouds become barred, having some lines, and the clouds getting sun rays from the sun bloom the soft dying day, as if color the dying day. So you have two contrasting pictures here. One is dying day, the day is dying, but at the same time it is blooming with the color provided by the clouds. And touch the stubble plains with rosy hue. Rosy hue means color of a rose, rosy color. And stubble plains, plains means field, and stubble means the last part or the remnants of the harvested crops as paddy. So the fields or the stubble plains is touched with rosy color, and the color is provided by the clouds. So you see a beautiful image, picture is created about the environment. And next we will have different types of songs that autumn gives us. At that time, then in a wailful choir the small nuts mourn. So at this time, the nuts, the insects which create, can do shrilling noise, but the sounds of the nuts are related to mourning, shokogatha, and also wailful means also bilapkrito, means mourning. So there is a touch of death, melancholy here. So the nuts are making shrilling sound or mourning in a wailful choir, crying as if. Among the river sallows, sallows you see picture under there. Here are some pictures of sallows. Sallows are some plants which are found around or in the river, and which is something like our kashbon or kashpul. And also here Keats presents a picture of the sallows. Among the river sallows, borne aloft, are sinking as the light wind leaps or dies. Though at this time we can hear the nuts mourn, the nuts making sounds, but the sound of the nuts is not heard constantly. The sound of the nuts, sometimes goes up and sometimes goes low. Sometimes we can hear it, sometimes we don't or can't, because the sound does not reach our ear. Why? Because we can hear sound with the help of wind, and as there is wind at that place, and we know that sometimes the wind is alive, that is wind is blowing strongly, and sometimes wind does not, that is wind dies. So with the up and down of the wind, the mourning of the nuts, the sound of the nuts are also being heard. And when there is no wind or less wind, we cannot hear the mourning or the sounds made by the nut. Is the past participle form of bear. So the wind bears the sound of the nuts up and we can hear, but when there is no wind, the sound of the nuts sinks. You see the picture, you see the image. So wind is here something like or compared to water, and which the sound is hovering or wading, and sometimes it goes up and sometimes it sinks. Another sound is here, another song is here. Indeed, these are the sounds, but kids here refer to the sounds as songs of autumn. So another song is here. And full-grown lambs loud bleat from hilly bourne. So from the hilly areas, hilly boundary or hilly houses on the hill where the lambs are kept, and now we know that at twilight lambs and other cattle are taken to their houses where they are kept at night. So the full grown lambs, that is the adult lambs, loud or bleat, making their own sound loudly, and those sounds are also heard at this time. His crickets sing, and now with treble soft the redbreast whistles from a garden croft, and gathering swallows twitter in the skies. Here you have some other songs of autumn at the time of evening. The first one is his crickets singing. His crickets are Zizipoka, and we know that his crickets make sound in the evening. And then we have the treble, high, shrilling but soft whistle of the redbreast. This is redbreast, which whistles from a garden croft. Garden croft means the garden in the yard or beside a house. Sometimes garden can be kept for commercial use, and in the garden the redbreast lives, and the redbreast whistles from that garden with shrilling sound. Treble means the high-pitched sound that a human voice, mainly a male voice, can create or produce. The next song is the song of swallows, which twitter in the sky, and we know that at this time in autumn, swallows and different birds gather together in the sky and they twitter, and which creates a beautiful sound. So that's all about the line by line summary of the poem. But now I will give you ideas or some aspects of the poem, particularly for examination preparation. But these are not limited, of course. So you should take preparation on your own based on the discussion and the materials provided. So the first one or aspect of this poem is sensuousness. Sensuousness is related to imagery or images. There are 5 senses normally we call, or we have olfactory, meaning smell, gustatory, taste, tactile touch, audio, hearing, and visual, sight. So you should talk about all these images, and you should divide these images based on their quality, type, and senses, and how these images appeal to our senses and which senses. And also you should include in your answer how Keats has used them, like diction, and why he has used them, like to present his emotion, to influence the readers, etc. The second aspect is how nature is presented in the poem. So you should talk about the nature, particularly the atmosphere and the other natural things found in the season of autumn. We see that autumn here is full, indolent, beautiful, sometimes melancholic, and it has a vibrant nature. And there are a lot of images, creating imagery, and you can describe the images stanza wise. And also you should talk about the relationship between nature and poet. Is it only finding beauty? Is it escapism? And we have found that Keats here has a minute observation of the natural things and scenarios and natural phenomena found in the nature. The next aspect is mood and tone of the poem. It's a happy, glad mood, and the tone is also both melancholic and pessimistic and optimistic. And we also have the images related to death and rebirth, and you should find out where those imageries or images found in which lines, in which stanza, and you should talk about the aspects which say or which prove that Keats indeed has this kind of mood or tone. The next one is to consider Ode to Autumn as an ode. Of course, you should come at the beginning with the definition and aspects of ode, different types of ode. You should compare different aspects of the poem with those of odes, and you should talk about any specialty of this ode, how this has become a particular ode, a famous ode. The next one is feminine image in the poem. Is gender specified? We have already found that Keats has personified autumn as a number of characters like gleaner, winnower, reaper, and which of them are related with which gender? Are these characters gender specified? And if there is any feminine image in the poem, why Keats has used that feminine image or character as feminine or a female character? And how and in which stanza or images we have these characteristics or characters which prove that autumn is a female? Ode to Autumn as an ode, we have already discussed it. The next aspect is theme of death and rebirth. We know that autumn is the third season, so it is mature, and it is compared to the adulthood of human being. And in autumn, almost everything is harvested, referring to the human life. In adult period, before death, we harvest everything of life, and then we wait for our death. So after autumn, we have winter. Winter is always considered as a dead season. So it is the image of death or theme of death is described here. And also there is a point of rebirth, because autumn contributes to rebirth, because in autumn the seeds are dropped for the next spring. We have also some images like soft dying day, the dying day of the last days, old days of human being. We also have images like oilful coir, and of course oilful coir, it's a kind of mourning for the life which has gone by, and mourning on the thing that you will have no autumn anymore. So what is the significance of oilful coir and soft-dying day of these images on the theme of death and rebirth? And you see that the living things and the dying are blended and creates a beautiful, sumptuous symphony. The next theme is critical appraisal or appreciation. When you appraise or appreciate a poem critically, you should talk about almost all the aspects from theme to form. Every stanza is described with its contents or with their contents, and you should talk about some analysis as well. The next thing is theme of contentment. So in autumn, or in this poem, Keats has described the theme of contentment, because in autumn we have all the flowers and fruits and harvest, and also songs. So we have the beauties, bounties, blessings, and songs. But this contentment, the theme of contentment, leads to a melancholic one, a pessimistic one, because probably after contentment there waits death. The next thing is literary devices in the poem. We have already found that the poem is replete with literary devices, but here are some, like rhetorical question, where are the songs of spring? Imagery. The imageries are concrete. It can be familiar, it can be abstract, but here we have concrete imageries and familiar, of course, like mossed cottage trees, granary floor, winnowing wind, etc. Personification is the most used figure of speech here. We have apostrophe, that is, the poet calls somebody or addresses somebody, like who hath not seen thee. We have simile here, like a gleaner. We have assonance, among the river shallows born aloft. So you have the repetition of vowel sound, and in consonance you have the repetition of the consonant sound, like spares the next word. So you should talk about all these literary devices found in the poem, as well as you should talk about the effect or effects which Keats has created by using these literary devices. So thank you very much for watching. I think that you have understood them, or most of them. And of course, never forget to listen to it carefully, because you are going to have a quiz very soon. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.